Hello, Schmoville. Well, now we are into the 20s. How about that? Seems like just last week we were putting on episodes 1 through 4, and now it is episode 21. And what an incredible guest this was. Not only was it Catherine Reitman's second show as co-host, now we were welcoming a guy that we had met on Doug Loves Movies. Oh, I don't remember how long before we got him on the show. But he was a guy that ultimately would become a good friend of the podcast, and that is one Samm Levine from Freaks and Geeks fame and Inglorious Bastards. And Sam is such a great guest for so many different reasons. One is that he just has this uncanny ability to tell great stories. It's just the second he starts talking, you shut up, you listen, and it's the detail to his stories and everything. I mean, originally this show was supposed to be about remakes and reboots, and we touch on that a bit in the episode, but it's really about listening to Sam's stories. He tells this great story about Inglourious Basterds and working on the film with Tarantino, and not only how he got the role, but some crazy stuff that happened during it, and how one actress almost lost her job, and then how he got to see the opening scene, that amazing scene, and when Christoph Waltz appears, and when you first see him. And Sam got to catch that a little earlier than everyone else, and he got to watch it, and he tells all that, and it's really cool to listen. And there's a really silly moment. I left it in there because one, it was too tough to edit out, and two, I just thought it was funny to leave in. The old studio that we had moved to, the air conditioning or something popped on in the middle of it, and you just hear us kind of scattering around trying to figure out how to deal with this. Do we leave it in? Do we leave it out? We left it in there. It's in there. Enjoy it. This is the show, episode 21 with Samm Levine. Enjoy it, guys. Thanks.
No one knows what that is except Ellis and I. Guys, thank you very much for joining us back at the Schmoes Know podcast. I'm Christian Harloff.
And I'm Mark Ellis, and that was a sound effect from our good buddy Blaze the Movie Fan.
That's right. Hey, guys, what's up? And I would like to say what's up to our co-host, back again, Miss Catherine Reitman. Hi, Catherine.
What the hell is up, you guys?
Oh, shit.
All right, Catherine got a much nicer intro than I did, and I've been your co-host for like 15 episodes more.
I told you we were replacing you.
Gross a beautiful rack, and then start talking.
I'm being phased out.
That's right. But also joining us today is a guy that we've been trying to get on this show, it seems like, for about 175 years.
Been working, coming at him from all angles.
That's right, really trying hard. We met him on Doug Benson's podcast, and of course we're talking about actor, movie lover, Samm Levine. Hi, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm a tough book.
You really are.
I'm a tough get for podcasts.
You canceled on us more than my wife did the first time I tried to get her to go out with me.
Wow.
Personal, very personal.
That's
right.
right.
You made it personal.
I did.
It got weird real quick.
That's okay. I apologize.
Sam's a very accessible guy. He's just, he just didn't want to do. Sam and I hang out all the time. He just didn't want to do the podcast.
Right. Yeah, we would hang out on like Saturday mornings. He'd be like, "I'm going to do this thing." I'd be like, I got, I have yoga.
Can you replace that Harloff guy? They'll come in and do it. But no, Sam's going to join us today. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of things related to films and a couple other things that we wanted to talk to Sam about that we didn't get to talk about last time we were on Doug Loves Movies.
Right. Well, which is astonishing because for a movie podcast, so much of those episodes is spent just, kibitzing. That's right. Well, as the Jews say.
Well, I feel a little responsible for that, too, because half this podcast that we did, Doug Loves Movies, we were learning how to play the Malton game.
Oh, yeah.
Which
that's true.
I didn't do my research, and that's the last time that I come unprepared to a podcast, unless it's my own, in which case I'm never prepared.
Also, the last time we were on the show. Because, but
we're ready to play the Malton game.
That's right. Well, today we're going to talk about a couple things as far as remakes and re-releases, because there seems to be a ton of these things.
We have so much fresh star power in the room right now. We figured, why don't we talk about some remakes?
Yeah,
some cover
really
tunes.
use us like racehorses.
Well, before we go down that road, can I just tell Catherine I loved you so much in Dave.
Oh,
nice.
God, this keeps coming up.
That is a well-researched guess.
That is.
I didn't even have to look it up. I did not have to look it up. I knew that.
Wow. See, last
How did
week...
you like my teeth? Because I feel like my teeth really did all the acting in that one.
They were very good.
Thank you.
I would say you were an 8.5. Your teeth were a 10.
Oh, That sounds like classic My Teeth.
Yeah.
Beating me by 2.
Well, was it better than the Ghostbusters 2 Girl with Puppy?
Oh, brother. You guys, I'm out of here.
Now, that one I would have had to look up to remind myself, but the one in Dave, because I remember seeing an interview.
Oh, really?
Where your dad was like, yeah, I love my kids. I want to put my kids in all my movies.
And
And it was like, no, my kids are too old. They don't want to be in my movies anymore.
Yeah, well, the Ghostbusters 2 thing, look it up and then watch it with a tissue, my friend, because it gets emotional when they take that puppy away from her at the beginning of that movie.
Very strong performance.
That's really funny. And even before we go into that, now, Sam, we got to turn the attention back to you.
Uh-oh.
Indeed.
Because
Spotlight's on you, my friend.
Yes. Now, Sam's been in a bunch of things. You've seen him in tons of shit, but one of the things that Mark and I...
Tons of movies, not
just
good
No.
movies.
Yeah. I've been in lots of shit, too. Let's not sugarcoat it.
But one of the things you were in that was not shit was Inglorious Bastards.
Oh, thank you.
Wowzers.
What a fantastic movie that
Wowzers.
is.
Was that a good movie?
That's right.
That was one of my favorite movies of 2009.
Completely right on.
Now, we talked about it like so brief when last time we were all together. How, and I'm sure you've answered this a billion times, but you've got to answer it for us. How amazing was it working with Quentin Tarantino? Like the crazy shit that must have happened on that set.
It was crazy. I mean, we were in Berlin for, I think the whole production schedule was like 6 months of principal photography on that.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was nuts.
So you're in Germany for 6 months, and they put you up at like a nice hotel?
Yeah, it was a lovely hotel.
And you just hang out in Germany, or are you working
guys
all
must have
day?
become such close friends, you and the
We
other cast.
all did. I mean, we didn't get... We weren't like Lord of the Rings close. We didn't all get weird tattoos that only we know what they mean.
Right.
But as hard as I pushed for that, it didn't happen.
Right.
You got one.
You
You're like,
got
guys,
one.
I'm the only
Come
one.
on, guys, check it out.
we're all
the
getting
only
a dolphin on our lower back, right? I'm not the only one.
Just a swastika. No one else went for it. It's so weird.
Yeah. I can never do pantsless work in features again. But it was great. I mean, Quentin he's insane.
Yeah. In a great way.
In a wonderful way.
Yeah.
Like I've never watched. Like you could just watch his face, and you can hear the wheels turning at hyperspeed in his brain.
Well, take us through that though. Like as far as like so you go in an audition for it, right?
Well, here's how it worked. I had met Quentin about 5 years prior to reading for Bastards. And I had heard through the grapevine he was a fan of a show I was on called Freaks and Geeks.
Right.
Yeah, we've
Great
heard
show.
of it. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right,
all
well,
fans
thank you
of
very
it.
much.
Yeah.
Well, I like to preface it like that in case people haven't heard of it, because then if they have, they're like, oh, no, we've heard of it. But if they haven't, they're like, I don't know what show you're talking about, asshole. I think it's a big show that I'm supposed to know about.
Yeah.
I'm 12. So he was a fan of the show, and so I sort of I sought him out
Right. That's cool.
at the Jimmy Kimmel Live program. And we got to talking. And we talked for a long, long time. And then so much so, it was after the show, he had appeared on the show as a guest. And we're the only two left in the green room after the show was over.
Wow.
And security walks in and they're like, look, we don't want to kick you out, but we want to go home. So can you take this elsewhere?
Stop kissing?
Yeah, pretty much. You can hold hands, but the kissing is weird.
It's when someone
That's where you got the
describes
tattoo.
it- When you hear, and so we got to talking. There's always a good story after somebody gets to talking.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just
Right.
a stupid conversation. Something cool is going to happen.
Yeah, I remember actually one of the things we talked about was Regis Philbin and how so many young people don't know what Regis did, where he came from before being on Regis and Kathy Lee.
And what did he do before?
He was an exercise guru for a long time. he was like a Jack LaLanne for a little while.
really?
On yeah.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alice knows that. That's how you started losing the weight watching his old videos.
I probably should have paused before I jumped right into my Regis knowledge. Like I should have maybe played my hand a little cooler. I don't have a good,
I'm pretty sure I have a chicken, but
not a good poker face on this
Yeah,
guy.
a lot of
Right.
enthusiam
Yeah.
coming out of you
that's
right now.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well,
did Quentin want to cast Regis for the role of?
The Bear Jew. He wanted to Regis for the Bear Jew. Did not work out.
right.
Don't know how.
But anyway, so then we leave, and then the last thing he says to me as he's like getting into his limo, he's like, "Hey man, it was really great talking to you. I hope we could work together someday." And I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be all right.
yeah.
Right,
me
and
too.
you climax
check my
everywhere.
calendar.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna fight you on that."
Right.
He's getting into his limo. You're getting into your Geo Metro. Like,
That's
yeah, that'd be
right.
nice. That'd be nice.
Waiting for the bus. Yes.
And then I don't see him again for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And then the next time I see him is I hear, reading the trades and through some friends, like, "Hey man, Quentin Tarantino wants to meet with like young Jewish guys for his next movie."
Now,
I'm
did
like,
he remember you when you went in?
Yes, he did.
Unbelievable.
Oh, he's great. He has a memory like an elephant. It's insane. He remembers every movie, every actor he's ever met.
That's so cool.
He meets a lot of movies.
I can see, I can see that though. You can tell by the detail that's in his
Absolutely.
movies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all.
And so the first time we met, he wasn't actually reading actors. He just wanted to meet with them.
Yeah.
Generals.
Like just meet and just shoot the shit for 5-10 minutes.
Now, did you show up like in a uniform to sort of hint the way of what you wanted to go?
Actually, I showed up dressed exactly as my character from Freaks and Geeks, hoping I could. No, that's not true.
Jog the memory.
I just showed up like me.
Well, because he wanted to just kind of get, I guess, a range of personality.
Yeah, he just wanted to meet people before he reads them because he's like, and this is the way I think about it. He's honest.
Yeah.
What I have learned from 15 years of casting is 90% of it has nothing to do with your read. It has to do with just how you sound, how you look when you walk in.
Totally.
Whether they look at you and they go, this could totally be that guy.
Right.
Because it's like, if you're not that guy when you walk in, why are they going to waste everyone's time with you reading?
Right.
Right.
It wastes your time. It wastes their time. It wastes, back in the day, tape.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I feel like he's just honest about it. So I don't know exactly how many people he met with. I know it was a lot. And then of the people he met with, he asked about, I think, 20 or so to actually come back in a couple days later and read for roles.
Okay.
And
Did you
so
read for more than one?
I did. I met with him on a Friday, and then that afternoon they call back and they're like, okay, they want you to read for Udovich, the role B.J. Novak played.
Oh, right, okay.
And so I took the script and I read the whole thing and I memorized all of Udovich's stuff, and I went in and I read for Udovich, and we spent a good 15 minutes doing the scene. And here was the craziest part: Quentin read with me.
Awesome.
It was just me and
Even if I don't get
Joanna-
this job
yeah.
at this point, this is a great story.
and Joanna Ray, the casting director.
right.
And Quentin's like, he's off book. So he's reading the scenes with me. He's not even looking. He's just like looking at me. He's
Ooh,
like,
so
getting-
he's testing you.
yeah, he's like looking into my soul.
He's playing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like doing all these scenes, and we keep doing them. He's like making little adjustments. He's like, all right. This is going to sound crazy, but did you read Donowitz? Did you read that in the script? I'm like, yeah. He's like, could you take this scene and read this Donowitz scene with me? And then he gives me this Donowitz scene, which actually they shot but is not in the movie,
Yes.
with Cloris Leachman.
Oh,
It's an
great.
incredible,
I can't believe it
incredible
was cut.
scene. Yeah. And so I start reading this scene with him for another 15 minutes. We're making little adjustments. We're using the room.
Jesus Christ.
It's nuts.
So you're
Amazing.
you're improvising with Quentin Tarantino. Now, of the lines that you had memorized, and he starts going off book, how would you rate yourself? Like after you're out of the room and you're done with it, how did you handle it? Were you just
Yeah,
a
we
10
locked
and
in.
you knocked it out of the park, or were you a little nervous? Were you okay?
Here's the thing. Even if I was a 10 that day,
Yeah.
there's no way I'd ever walk out of that room thinking I was a 10.
Right.
Okay, is that your personality, or is that
Yes.
just
Whatever I was, I think I was about 20% as good.
Okay.
Right. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Now, did you, knowing you were going in to read with Quentin Tarantino, like, get affected by his previous movies where you're like, oh, I should do it a little bigger or a little bit more like this? Or
No, I didn't.
Did you wear Travolta's wig from Pulp Fiction?
Right,
Actually, I dressed as Uma
exactly.
Thurman.
Yes.
I did that thing.
Did you come in with just a huge samurai sword?
I did. No, I mean, of course I was nervous, but it was like, because I'd met him before and we'd talked for as long as we had.
You knew he was normal.
Yeah, I knew how to talk to him.
Well, normal might
Yeah,
be a
normal is
stretch,
not the right
yeah,
word.
Yeah.
You knew him. You
I-
knew what you were going into.
I knew
a little bit.
enough to not be like totally caught off guard.
Right.
And I mean, you asked about like being big, but it's like the material kind of reads itself as
Right.
big,
Right.
no matter how you want to play.
You don't
it.
have to put a spin on it.
Yeah,
Right.
It's all in the words. So I felt pretty confident about it, and I was like, all right, I know the guy doesn't like to waste people's time. There's no way he would have spent a half hour with me if he didn't see something he liked.
So he didn't give you any sort of indication of how it went as you left.
Nothing.
This
wasn't
is
like
you
see you in
talking to
Berlin.
yourself on the way home, like,
Right.
I got some confidence
Yeah,
here.
I was like, no, the confidence is it's at a 10 when you leave the room.
Yeah.
And then the whole drive and the way home.
gotta be
by
inside
the time I
your
get
head,
to
right.
my door,
Yep.
I'm down to like
yeah.
a 1.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
just
You should- you
I should have done this.
No,
Should've-
why did I say that or
right,
this
right.
thing? I should have said that line.
I'm going to become a doctor.
Wait,
Yeah.
So when do you get the call from your agent that says, "Look, this thing went well"?
2 full weeks later.
Holy shit balls!
You heard
Brutal.
nothing.
I
So
heard
you look different now
nothing
'cause all your
for
hair is
14
falling
days.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the most miserable 2 weeks. Like every day that passed, I was like, I fucked up. I had the chance and I blew it. And then 2 weeks later, he calls me and he's like, "Okay."
Oh,
He called you?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh,
my
your
agent. My
agent.
agent.
Okay,
My
okay,
agent
well,
calls me. My manager
The story
calls
was
me.
almost a
know.
million.
Look at the
It was
pack of
almost-
wolves on this podcast. They hear about a phone call from Q, and they just go sick him.
My manager calls me 2 weeks later and he's like, "Okay, here's what I know.
Oh, God.
Quentin liked you, and they're going to hire you for one of the bastards. I just don't know which.
And you're like, who cares? That's awesome.
That's right.
And at that point, you drop your phone in the toilet and just run out in the street naked and just high-five your neighbors, right?
And promise yourself to never take the phone on the toilet again.
Yeah, actually, it was in the shower. I threw it into the toilet from the shower.
What an arm.
But I was like, okay, wait, one of the bastards. But there's only there's Hirschberg, Yudovich, Donowitz, and Aldo. And as of that point, that's literally it. Those were the only 4 bastards.
Amazing.
And so, and then I find out a day later that he's added a bunch of bastards.
Very cool. Yeah.
But
Now,
a lot
are you
of them,
nervous at that point? Or are you like, oh, great, there's thousands of bastards?
But I was nervous because I was like, wait a minute. I don't know that those other bastards have lines.
It's like the Minions from Despicable Me.
That's right.
There's a bunch of them in a row.
Yeah, and then that's what I hear. He's like, okay, yeah, they don't have lines in the script. We're going to do a lot of improv on set, and they're going to have lines.
Right. Well, was anyone else cast at this moment that you knew?
No one
Okay.
was cast at that
Okay.
point. And so I was other than they were working on Brad Pitt's contract.
Okay.
And then that's what delayed it even further.
Right.
Was I got the call 2 weeks later that they want to hire you, and then it took another 2 weeks to find out which role and what the negotiation even was. And I was like, why is it taking so long? Oh, wait, because every one of their lawyers is working on Brad Pitt's contract.
Of course.
So if you learned anything so far, if you have anxiety and want to be an actor, don't.
Yeah. If anxiety is a problem for you, choose another profession.
Well, find a good thing to do for, 2 weeks you hear about that. Like, if you hear you're on a Veils for a commercial, you're nervous for a day, and you don't know what to do with yourself. What are you doing with yourself for 2 weeks? Are you just trying to forget about it? Are you working out every day? Are you drinking every day?
I went to Chicago.
You got out of town.
I did. I left
Right.
town. I went to see some Cubs games.
Good, good.
I was like, I can't.
If there's one thing that doesn't help anxiety, it might be rooting for the Cubs.
Well, and this was 2008, my friend. They were having a very good year.
Yeah, okay,
Different
okay,
time, a
yeah.
Yeah, but then he
Different
sees
time.
bats and he's thinking, wait a minute, the Bears uses a bat. This is more.
Right.
I'm an Orioles fan. I know about baseball and history. So.
I'll bet you do.
Brother in arms.
You've at least won a World Series championship in the last century. But so I get back, and then they were like, okay, they're going to offer you the role of Hirschberg, which I thought was really funny because of the 3 bastard parts in the script that I read for, that's the only one I didn't read for.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, he's kind of taken me
You were so bad
really on
reading the
faith
other
on
one.
this one, I guess.
Right.
So then that was it. So then the new draft comes out with all these new bastard roles, and
And at this point, you don't know about BJ Novak. You don't know who else is
no, I
attached.
didn't know who had gotten attached. It was a day or so after I got cast, I think, is when I heard about BJ.
Did
And
you know BJ beforehand?
Yes.
Okay.
I knew BJ beforehand. I didn't know Eli Roth beforehand,
Okay.
He's fantastic.
who was so great in the movie.
It was
Yeah.
really good. No.
Everyone was so great. Oh,
It's funny
God.
though too, because I'll be honest too. Like I wasn't ever like I know that he had made an appearance in Cabin Fever and a couple other, and I always thought he was a really talented filmmaker. Never was like, it's acting, but he was phenomenal in that.
Phenomenal.
movie.
Yeah.
Really
And actually,
good.
you bring up Eli Roth. We saw Inglourious Bastards. One of the first like screenings that we got into was the SAG screening of Inglourious Bastards, and so Christoph Waltz was there, and Eli Roth was there, and he said something really interesting about being cast and working with Tarantino. He said that we showed up to the table read for one of the first days that we're rehearsing,
Yeah.
and Quentin was watching everybody, and he said that he would throw stuff at actors, and if they didn't know their character well enough
Yeah.
to handle it, they didn't show up the next day. Was that kind of pressure around, and how prepared were you?
Not only was that pressure around, that is a literal story.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Someone got cast.
Somebody got cast
Wow.
and let go the next day because he didn't have a good enough backstory already prepared.
Is
And
that right?
How hard did you work
You know
on
what?
your
I
backstory?
respect the hell out of that. I
Oh,
respect
yeah,
the
yeah.
hell out of that because that means that's a problem with a lot of directors, and they whatever, they'll buy it. Who cares? You can tell, as crazy as he might be, he's got such a read on all those characters and the story that there's not for a second you don't believe anything that's going on.
Well,
in that
you
movie.
you want everybody on board to be a part of the team, to be contributing, not just somebody that's just there for a paycheck.
Right.
You don't
Yeah.
want anybody
Of
mailing
course,
it in.
But it's also a little neurotic. I mean, there's also a creative process
But
here.
look at what the guy's done. What was the last shitbox that he did?
Is this a real conversation? Because other than Inglourious Bastards, I'm not the hugest Tarantino
You
fan.
stop your mouth.
Gotta be honest.
All right, I gotta
Be
go.
honest.
I gotta go.
I'll go with
I'm
you.
so sorry.
You better start talking to that lamp in the back.
Two
there.
security guards just whisked Samm Levine away for the rest of the.
Sam, do you
I
want to
blew
start
it.
co-hosting?
Sorry, my Saturdays are really tough, guys.
Yeah.
But so your preparation for that. So you had a good backstory going in.
I did, but here's the whole story to that. So the first day in Berlin, everyone was there. Everyone who was cast in this movie had to show up for
Christoph
a
Waltz
giant
too?
table read. Everyone.
Okay.
A huge table read on stage. There were 50
Wait a minute.
fucking
I'm
actors.
so sorry. There was someone fired when they were reading in Berlin?
Yes.
They were flown home and someone was flown to Berlin the day after that read?
Let me tell you the story.
Sorry.
So all the actors. That's all right.
I'm telling a story.
All the actors. All the actors came to Berlin, even though some of them were not shooting for weeks. Quentin wanted everyone there for the big table read. So
Not expensive at all.
Not expensive at all. So because Quentin had 2 full weeks of rehearsal blocked into the shooting.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? If you're Quentin Tarantino, you can get away with that sort of thing. So we go to this table read, and before it starts, Quentin reads out of a book written by Joseph Mankiewicz
Oh, my God.
about the craft of acting.
Wow.
And
Oh, boy.
and he reads this thing, and then he just says, "Look, guys, here's what it comes down to. If I feel like any of you are giving me less than 100% between action and cut, I don't want you on my set. I don't have patience for that. I don't have room for that. Like, I love actors. I love acting. I love filmmaking. We're here to tell a story. If that's not what you're interested in, take care."
That's Lombardi right there, man. That's a great
Exactly.
pregame speech.
Are you kidding me? All playfulness. I mean, did you feel the pressure just, like, skyrocket?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any game,
Right.
any time
Brad
we play
Pitt's
this
probably
stuff.
nervous at that point.
Yeah.
But it did that, and like he said with the Lombardi speech, it made you want to play harder. right?
Absolutely.
That's
It put all of us on our A game. And so then we do the table read, and I don't think I'm telling this story out of school because I'm pretty sure other people have told it, or even I've told it before, because it had a happy ending. So Melanie Laurent, the girl, the French girl,
So talented.
so amazingly talented. During the table read, Quentin asked all of us to speak in English because all the actors could speak English. And during the table read, she's not terribly comfortable. She can speak English, but because she's not great at it, at least in her mind, she was very quiet and didn't really give it everything she had. And it affected the table read because everyone, based on that opening speech, was giving it 100%. And then it would be her line, and she would speak really quietly.
Poor thing.
And then, because she was nervous.
Of course.
She's surrounded by this. Brad Pitt is in the fucking room.
Right.
Yeah.
She probably barely understood that, like,
Exactly.
raw speech that he gave in the beginning.
And I'm like,
She's like, what is going on here?
and I thought about it afterward. I'm like, I speak French barely. If I had to do a table read
Oh, yeah.
French, right.
with
Can
like
you imagine?
Marion Cotillard in the room, I'm going to be like, je suis.
Right.
Look, Marion, Rosetta Stone's expensive, okay? It's like
That's right.
$600.
That's right.
Yeah, and so I felt bad for her, but it affected the mood of the table read, and I could see it in Quentin's face.
Oh, no.
How he was like, oh my God. And so then after the table read, he fired Melanie.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
He sent her back to Paris and was like, we're done.
Wow.
You crushed my table read. I'm going to hire somebody else. And then she was obviously horrified.
Right.
Her people were horrified.
Yeah, that's a horrible story.
It has a happy ending. She calls Quentin. She's like, "Listen, let me fly myself back to Berlin. Let me meet with you. Let me show you that you hired me for a reason. English I'm not comfortable with it. I don't do table reads. You had me out of my comfort zone." He was like, "Look, I gave you a speech. I told you what I expected of you, and you didn't deliver." And so then she flies herself back to Berlin. She meets with him. And meanwhile, he's literally been reading other actresses over the previous 24
Oh, my
hours
God.
while
Heart
she's in
attack.
Paris. And none of them blew
She's
him
just
away.
learning English
Yeah.
feverishly in Paris.
Yeah. And so she comes back, she meets with him, and she rehearses with him and a couple other actors. And he's like, all right, that's what I need. You got a lucky break on this one, but if you don't give me that every day, I'm going to really regret this. And she's like, I promise you, I'm just out of my comfort zone in table reads.
Now, did
I'm
he-
good on set.
And she gave her A game because of that. I mean,
Yeah,
she
right.
went through the
And that's why
boot
she's
camp.
so great in that movie. Because
Now,
she
this
knew.
is what I hope to believe. I hope to believe that he never had an intention of actually firing her and hoping that he was going to
He
rehire
read
her.
other actors.
Oh, you think the whole thing was like a psychological Bill Parcells
That's what I
kind of
hope.
play?
That's what
Yeah.
I hope. I hope that it's just like,
Well-
I want the word to get out that he's reading other women and that kind of stuff. And then he's just like, now that's
It's
what I want to
all
see.
a
Well,
game.
then
No.
Sam,
the
your
day
take.
after.
Yeah.
The day after, all of the bastards, just the bastards, met with Quentin to rehearse for the first time.
Every time you see him, are you just horrified nervous?
No, because
After that story?
Well,
no?
Sam was prepared. He knew his shit.
Because after that, that's when I started working on my character's backstory. I was like, all right.
Yeah, you better, I guess.
I want to have everything
Yeah.
said and done with my guy for the next time I see Quentin. And so it was like a day or so later, all the bastards meet to rehearse, and that's when he started pop quizzing us on our backstories.
Oh, my God. Heart attack.
And I was ready. Cool. I was ready for it. And so I gave him all my answers. He's like, okay, that's cool, that's good, that's good. You. And like we didn't know what order he was going to go around the table or anything. And then he asked another actor, and the guy didn't have a good one, and Quentin was like, that's not what I think for you. I'm going to need something a little different. And Quentin wasn't giving it to him. He wanted the actor to come up with it on his own.
On his own, right.
And the guy just, it may have been a good actor, but he thinking on his feet maybe just wasn't his thing. And Quentin, I could see, was really disappointed with him. And then after we rehearsed, he was like, hang back a minute to this other actor. And then I was like, all right, well, we'll see you later. And then the next morning, and I become friendly with this guy. And the next morning, I wake up to a note under my door, and it's from the guy saying, I don't know if you've heard, I've been let go.
Oh, it's like that red tag in Major League.
This is crazy.
Well, it's like when you watch Hard Knocks, a training camp show on HBO. It's you have cut day, and it's you show up to work, and you may get a red tag in your locker, and then that's it. Coach needs to see you, bring your playbook, and you're out. There's no ceremony. There's no goodbye.
That was
parting
it.
away.
So by the time you were shooting, it was like you made it to Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
To make it to shooting was the Super Bowl. To make it to the halfway point was great.
No one got canned during the filming.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
And you're there for 6 months, just chilling in Berlin.
Catering.
Are you enjoying the process the whole time, or do the days get to be a little long when you're a few months into it and you're still in this foreign country?
Every day to me was amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you nervous at the aspect that he could fire you at any moment?
Yes. Yes. And not only because he could fire me, but he was making script changes every day.
So you could get killed the next day, too.
Absolutely.
Right.
Very likely in the story.
100%.
Right.
He could have changed the scene, and I could have gotten shot in the head in the
Right.
first scene I was in.
Right.
It's a great line of questioning. You guys are asking, I'm like, were you worried about being fired? And I'm like, do they have Chili's in Germany?
Sure.
Good cop, bad cop.
No, I mean, there were actors who shot a bunch of stuff and not in the movie.
Jeez.
Cloris Leachman, Maggie Chung.
Yeah, not small-time actors.
No,
That's a
major
director's-
actors.
Is there a director's cut of Inglourious Bastards that you know of that we should get our hands on?
There isn't. People have asked me that a lot, and I always like to point out it's Quentin Tarantino. He has final cut.
Yeah.
What you saw in theater is the
It's the
director's
director's cut.
Yeah.
He's
It
not.
was one of the only experiences when I went to the movie. I went opening night, ArcLight Hollywood, and the entire theater, the second that Hitler gets it, oops, spoiler alert. Although
I think you're okay.
kind of happens.
We
think you're
kind of
We
happens.
do that on this podcast.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Everyone stands up and starts clapping.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it was a
Wow.
phenomenal experience.
You knew what you were getting into from the opening scene.
Oh, my
Great
opening
had you
scene.
now you read the script, so you
I
knew
read
kind
the
of
script. I knew what was going on. You want to talk about that opening scene?
Yeah, please.
Here's the best I can tell you. As luck would have it, I'm not in that scene.
Yeah.
I was on set the day they shot that opening scene.
Oh wow!
No
So you
kidding.
well, before you get into that, because one of the things that we heard at that Q&A was that Quentin wouldn't really let Waltz be around you guys.
That is correct.
Okay.
He wouldn't let Waltz be around anyone until they were working.
So
with
how
him.
did you get close to him on the opening?
Were you
scene?
hiding under the house with the...
He was doing recon.
Well, they shot that scene in two different locations. The exteriors for that scene were shot on location about 2.5 hours outside of Berlin.
Okay.
In the woods, in the forest land of Germany. The interiors were shot on a stage. I had been called to set for a wardrobe thing. And wardrobe was unavailable to work with me because they were working on something crazy. And so I had a couple hours of just like downtime on set.
Now, were you not supposed to be around Waltz to create intrigue for characters?
No, he didn't want us around Waltz because he didn't want any of us to see Waltz work. When we did that first table read, Christoph was the only person Quentin pulled aside ahead of time and said, I want you to give me 5%.
That's what they said. They said that.
Wait, why
Oh,
wouldn't...
that's cool.
But I don't understand. Why weren't you allowed to see him work?
Because you remember how creepy he was.
Sure do.
Quentin wanted the first time any actor saw how creepy he was to to be when they were on set with him between action and cut.
He's a genius.
That's
man.
really,
That's a
really
crazy
cool.
story.
He wanted us to be
Genius.
genuinely freaked out at how maniacal.
Right.
That's like the freezing water in Psycho right before she gets stabbed.
So you got a sneak peek then.
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
You hiding in the bushes with binoculars watching this thing go
he
down?
really is creepy. He really is creepy.
The scenes that I was supposed to have had with Christoph in the original draft of the script had not been shot yet.
Okay.
And Quentin, while we were shooting, changed the script. And for reasons that, as a filmmaker, or film lover, I should say, totally made sense to me, as an actor, I was like, fuck.
Right.
Because the end of the movie I'm not in. In the original draft of the script, I was. And he changed it, and he pulled me aside at one point. It was like, look, this is
Every time he pulls you aside, are you like, oh no?
it's either going
Here
to be
it
good or
comes.
bad. He pulled me aside one time to tell me he wanted me to play a second part in the movie,
Right. How's
which
that?
was the painter, had no lines, the portrait painter painting Hitler
Oh my god!
in that scene where he interrogates Sergeant Boots.
Even though you've already been established as another character.
I've already been established another character. I'm covered. I have a crazy goatee and
that's
mustache
great.
and crazy
I didn't know
wig.
that.
Yeah, I'm Hitler's portrait painter.
Unbelievable.
In the background of that scene, there's a little tidbit for
There
you
you
next
go.
time you see the
That's
movie.
not going to be on his tombstone, but
No.
you know.
Yeah, no, but that was
I would
so much
rethink
fun to
that.
do because I was the only one of the bastards who got to see, at that point in the movie, the actor playing Hitler actually portraying Hitler, which we'd heard about this guy, Martin Wutka, and Quentin had been telling us about him. Like, this is a guy who had played Hitler famously in some stage show all over Europe, and after the show finished, he said, I'm never playing Hitler again.
Right.
Like, he got
Until-
rave reviews for it. And he said, I'm never doing it again. And then Quentin wanted this guy to play Hitler, and the guy's like, I just don't do it. And he's
Really?
like,
Even to-
yeah.
wow.
Even to Quentin. And Quentin, like, found this guy. I think he, like, flew to where he was working in Italy. He was like, listen, you are my Hitler.
You tested him a few times, I'm sure.
I can't take anyone else. Anyone else I use I know won't be as good as you. You have to do this.
Is that a big? If you're German, is that like a big role? Like do you want to? Like, do kids grow up in acting school in German? Like, one day I'm going to be Hitler. Is that your Macbeth, or is that you?
I think
do you
that's
want to
American
avoid
being
that?
Bush.
And I don't know
Yeah.
the actor's name, and I'm sorry for it, but the other one that's you see him all over the fucking YouTube now is the one from Downfall.
Oh, yeah. I don't know his
Yeah,
name.
right.
That's the one that they always cut
They always
into.
cut into like everything. They just
Hitler
did it for
finding
the
out
Red
about
Sox,
the
just blew
Redskins.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, let's get to the spying on Christoph Waltz.
Okay, yeah. So
You're in a
anyway,
bush.
I'm on set waiting. Now, Quentin does not use Video Village. There are no monitors.
Wow.
Quentin crouches down next to the cameras filming
Oh my god.
and watches the scene. Occasionally, he'll glance over. One or two of the cameras have little monitors attached to them, and so occasionally he'll glance up at that. But basically, he's just watching the action.
Wow.
And
Are you distracted by him when he's next to the camera?
no, because I've worked with directors who are like that before,
Right.
And also, I'm one of those guys who I just tune out everything but the other actors.
Got
Okay.
it.
So there's no Video Village, but he does let people wear headsets. So if you are nice and you ask the audio department for an extra headset, they will let you listen to the audio. Now, on the stage they were shooting on, it had 3 walls. So all the cameras were at that open fourth wall, so you could not really see into the set. But you could hear it perfectly from where everyone was sitting. And from where I was sitting, I could just see enough of the inside of the stage they were working on. And
And this is the interior of the house?
the interior of the house for that opening scene.
Yes.
And there was one take they did where it's basically the whole thing. Where they shot for, I think, between action and cut was a good 10 minutes.
Wow.
Awesome.
And
Terrifying stuff too. By the way.
Terrifying.
it's basically the scene after he finally sits down at the table.
It's milk time.
And they
It's
switch
milk
and they
time.
switch to English.
And then, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm listening to the scene, and I'm kind of watching through this little crack.
And you're knowing you could get busted. You're knowing this is enough for Quentin Tarantino to fire you in a second.
Pretty much. And so I'm watching this go down, and we're listening, and everyone in that room is just gripped. Everyone who's got headphones on, we can't believe what we're hearing. And I'm the only one who could even see just a little bit of
Right.
it. And then the scene finishes, and Denis Minochet, the French actor in the scene with him, is crying.
Wow.
Like, it got so real. And cut. And then I turned to Lawrence Bender, the producer, who was sitting
Said,
next
I'm
to me.
out of here and ran out.
And I literally say this to him. I said, if that doesn't win him an Academy Award, I simply don't know what you have to do to get one.
There it was.
Yeah, there you go. So now you know.
Like,
Well, you
that's when I knew
But
he was
wait,
going to get an Oscar.
now did you go back? Now was it like conflicting? Did you go back to the Bastards and tell them what you had seen, or
It's
you
like,
kept it under
you're
wraps?
the first guy on a reality show to go out with the Bachelorette, right?
Right.
Then you go
That's
back
right.
to the house,
Yeah.
and you're hanging out with all the other bachelors, and do you tell them, dude, you
Yeah,
guys
but-
are not going to believe this, or do you keep it to
'Cause you
yourself?
gotta be-
I didn't say
Right.
anything to anyone.
Really, and isn't
Smart.
But
That's why he was on set for all 6 months.
That's right.
Actually, I was only there 3 months.
But you could have
No.
gotten caught. But you could have gotten away with it if he was like, "Well, why did you tell them?" You'd be like, "Well, they're the Bastards, and I gotta let my
Yeah.
boys know. I gotta let you know."
It's a gang.
I gotta
Yeah,
know
no,
what I
fuck
saw."
those guys.
Not my job.
It's still Hollywood.
That's
right?
really
Now,
cool.
post filming it, did you tell them that you saw it?
I've told that story before.
He just told the
so-
story. I don't think he broke it on the pod. It'd be nice if you
Well,
saved it.
I will give you this credit, my friend. That story and listening to you talk about Inglourious Basterds probably was just as riveting because I love
Your grandkids are going to hear it, and it's
Yeah.
really cool
It
that you
is,
got
man.
to be,
It's
and
cool.
because that is the scene. When you watch that scene open the movie, after that scene ends, you're like, okay, Christoph Waltz. Now the Oscar is his to lose.
Right.
You
Yep.
know,
That's
it's
right.
it's like he had such a scintillating front nine. He needs to triple bogey something on the back nine to not win this green jacket,
Yeah.
and that's what he did. I mean, that's great that you were on set that day.
I was. I mean, really, it was total luck.
That's so
Total
cool.
luck.
Thank you, wardrobe department.
Yeah.
for,
Yeah,
being
seriously.
behind.
That's
Oh,
right.
man.
Got better.
Well, so Quentin now is doing what's the next one? What's this called?
It's called Django Unchained.
Unchained. Okay.
About the story of Django
Yes.
Fett, the
Not-
famed.
no,
Not Django Enchanted.
No,
this
no,
is
no,
not.
I know. I saw Enchanted.
It's about a bounty hunter in love in outer space.
That's what I thought it was.
Sounds pretty right on.
Now, what's this one about? Have you been tried to scoop around in that one? Have you been contacted?
I have read the script to
Okay.
Django Unchained.
Okay.
As an actor, I'm very sad. There is nothing in
No,
that
huh?
movie for me to do.
Okay.
Right.
It's called Django Unchained.
As
Yes.
a
What
as
is this
a-
film about?
Oh God, I don't know if it's my place to talk about it.
Okay.
I will just say it is. I think I can at least talk about the genre. It is a period piece. It takes place in the South, right around slavery times.
Sure.
And there are some incredible actors attached. Christoph Waltz is returning. Jamie Foxx is
Yeah,
in the film.
Tarantino must just grab
there's
Waltz
tons of
and be
people in
like,
this
"You're in
movie, yeah.
everything until I'm
DiCaprio.
dead."
Pretty
is
much.
in it.
DiCaprio is in it. I think Costner was attached. He's dropped out.
Didn't have a good
and
enough
now
backstory.
Kurt Russell
Russell's
is in his
rumored.
place.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
that's
that's it.
pretty good.
That's
Well,
it.
maybe and then apparently rumored as well as Kill Bill 3. So maybe there's something in there.
Here's the problem.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Rumored has been every Quentin Tarantino movie.
Right.
He has said he's going to make Kill Bill Volume 3.
Yeah.
He has said he wanted to make the Vega Brothers.
Right.
He told us while we were shooting Bastards, I'm totally making the prequel.
Yeah, I heard about.
And that's
yeah.
why he
Right.
said he saved the Cloris Leachman stuff, the Maggie Chung stuff. Oh, no, I'm going to use that on the prequel.
Yeah, the guy changes his mind every second.
Every day.
yeah, which
And
is partial for his genius and also
Yes.
probably makes
Right.
him very difficult to work with.
And
Yes.
so people have asked me, and I'm like, look, I think he genuinely wants to make these movies.
Right. It's just how he feels that day.
Right.
Right.
It's how he feels that day. And it's like... And
He's
then
like
the
a
idea
12-year-old
for-
girl getting dressed.
Yeah.
Right. And then the idea for Django Unchained pops in his head, and he's like, I want to make this one
That's
first.
the one. Right.
But it's I like that
Talks to
he
the
gets
movie
that
gods.
inspired, and I love that Tarantino started out working at a movie store.
Yeah.
You know how like at like Blockbuster or whatever they always used to have like the staff picks.
Mm-hmm.
He must just change his staff picks like every 5 minutes. Like no, this is my favorite movie. No, this is the one.
Yes.
No, this is the one.
All right. Well, one thing that I don't think we're going to see Quentin Tarantino do anytime soon, which is what we would like to talk about for the remainder of the podcast, and that is a remake or a re-release. He might re-release something. You never know. I don't really see him doing it.
In
but-
terms of what, like change it, like make minor changes and re-release
No,
it?
not George Lucas. No,
Yeah.
not that shit. I'm just saying, like Lion King. Maybe like Lion King re-release, and I know Ghostbusters again is coming out
Yeah.
re-release as well
Yeah.
too. So I mean, like, I don't know.
I wouldn't put it past Tarantino to remake like a 70s movie.
Re-release or remake?
Or either one.
Okay.
Well, most of his films are actually different forms of remakes.
He's very inspired by previous films.
Inspired is an interesting word.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean a straight up Karate Kid like remake.
I don't think
you
will never see him do that because he loves the original movies too much.
Exactly.
That's such a good point.
If he didn't like the movie enough to remake it, he wouldn't do it.
Right.
And any movie other than that he likes, he wouldn't want to touch.
Right, and that's for you guys. How does everybody here feel about? It just seems like every 10 minutes there's a remake, or there's, especially for 80s films now.
I'm glad you asked me that, Christian.
So what do you think?
Well, I think that I love that movies have the ability to being remade without them instantly being like in the world of music, you can cover a song and sometimes it's better than the original one. Like the Beatles' "Twist and Shout" was a cover, and that's awesome. You can do that. Stand-up comedy, you can't do that. It's stealing. It's frowned upon. So it varies by art form.
Yeah,
you know?
it's
but
tough
with
with
movies, you have to. There's no other way to say you can't universally say remakes are bad or they're good. You have to take it on an individual basis.
I know. The problem for me with the remake is that a lot of really good movies get remade, and I don't understand the point of it.
Like Footloose is a great example.
Like Footloose to me is a movie. Again, we were talking about this on our last podcast.
We like the new Footloose, by the way,
Sam.
So you may have to.
It wasn't
brace
that,
yourself.
No, Craig Brewer.
As did I.
But I think that was because Craig Brewer did a good job with it and got his hands on it. But I don't see the need for it. I don't know why it was remade.
Well,
like a movie. But a movie like to me, like Flash Gordon from like the '80s. That movie got remade. Do it, because as much as I love the original of that one, it was terrible. And there's a lot of crap going on. Crappy movies. If you want to have a good premise and remake it, then do it. But so many good movies are being remade.
Right.
Well, I think there's really two routes to take when doing a remake, particularly with one that was successful originally. Is you either just completely copy it, which Footloose is a great example.
Psycho.
Well, Psycho.
Less
But
popular.
listen, there's fails and
Hangover 2.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Great point.
Yeah.
And then there's the other route, which is you sort of take a jump off point, like Conan. I thought was like that.
But that's not a remake, though. That's the funny
It's
thing.
a reboot.
Yes. Well, it's not even a reboot as much as it's kind of.
This is a bad
How
movie.
was that?
Excuse me. I had some Taco Bell before I came over here.
Sorry.
Wow,
That's just it.
That fan just turned on us.
Is that the fan?
It's not the fan.
What is going on?
Oh, what's going on outside?
Ladies.
We got some... I think we have some construction
Let's take a break
going on.
for a second.
Okay.
Wow.
All right, I'll take a break. That really threw us off. What the hell?
Oh, it's done.
Is that
It's
gone?
done.
It's gone.
And
All
we're
right.
back.
Holy shit balls. All right.
That is a great way to handle it. You know, the water's got a little rocky there for a minute.
we all panicked.
Yeah.
And now Sam is
Let's
getting
not
that fan back.
Get that fan back. The fan was not at
Oh,
fault.
it's moving now. That's so much better.
All right. Listen.
Oh,
What I was going to say is,
back.
what? Shit.
I don't know what that is. Is that the fan?
It is not the fan.
All right,
No, it's not the
let's-
fan.
It's definitely not the fan. Don't touch the fan.
We got a little mystery to solve here. We're going to bring in a talking dog and Shaggy. We'll be right back.
Yeah,
with
we'll
you.
bring it back.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah.
I think it's construction or something.
Son of a bitch. Oh, so well.
God, Tarantino's out of his mind.
Yeah, I know.
There's an there's an electric company truck.
Yeah,
How much longer we
that's
got?
probably not good.
25 minutes left. All right,
Let's just blow through it.
Anyone else covered in sweat? Just me? Okay.
Yeah.
So know what's
Yeah.
going on with the air conditioning.
It is warm.
Oh no, it's all right. It's blowing into the mic.
It's gross in here. Well, what if I plug it? What if I plug it in over here and do a double fan? Would you be able? Will that hurt the sound over on this side?
That might be okay.
Let's try that. I'll plug it and I'll hit him from this
Well,
side.
you guys don't have to worry about me and my sweaty.
No, dude, it's disgusting. Hey, let's invite Sam when he finally.
God, that Tarantino story has got me tripped out. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, what a gentleman.
Make sure it's on the low.
Dude, I always wear, anytime I'm doing something that's not on TV, I'm wearing shorts and like except for today.
I wasn't sure.
Standard
I
bathing
sweat
suit
so
attire.
much, yeah.
Can we cut a lot of that shit out, Kate?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I can't hear them at all.
Great.
Okay, cool.
Wish I had done it at the top of the show.
All right, we are.
You were just saying reboot.
Yeah, I was saying that Conan is a reboot because the the comic. It's this one, even though it's a complete disaster.
Yeah, let's talk about this movie as little as possible.
Yeah, it may be the worst movie of the year, but that being said, it wasn't a remake of the Arnold movie. It was a reboot of the comic, and it was just another take on the comic and not the actual movie.
But if we're looking at feature films that are being released towards an audience, largely an American, average intelligence audience. I mean, is that not a remake?
I think it fits into the conversation just fine.
People
I don't want to
associate it.
Can we not talk about Conan
All right,
anymore?
I apologize.
Okay, well, we can move on from that.
I fell
but
asleep
whatever the
watching the
title
movie.
is, re-inspired,
Yeah.
re-envisioned.
Yes.
Okay, I want to answer your original question.
Yes.
Why all the remakes? Why the reboots? And there's two ways to think about it. And the way we are all idealists in this room. And so we think about it from a creative standpoint. Why would they do that? The first one was so good. Or the first one was terrible. Why would they think they could make it good now? And so I understand that. But over the last several years, my mantra is think like a producer. And if I were a producer and I had the rights to a previously really successful movie that I know 15-year-olds have never even heard of, i.e. Footloose,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I think I can remake this movie and make $100 million? It was successful the first time. Let's do it again.
Because here's the thing. Like, I guarantee you that most of the people that are doing that are thinking that way.
Yeah.
Most of these reboots don't do that well. Fright Night ate a pile of shit. Arthur ate a pile of shit. Karate Kid did well. We don't know how Footloose is going to do. Conan ate a big pile as well.
Okay,
Don't you think
but
the bigger
surely-
the brand, though, like Fright Night was a fun movie for us, but I don't know that the brand was that huge.
That's right.
And
But
same
it's
thing with
still a
Arthur
remake.
was not as big of a brand as like the Karate Kid or like RoboCop that's coming out, or like a Beetlejuice or something like that.
Well, not to get over it, but every single film, if you actually break it down, is a remake of only so many formulas, right?
Yes.
It all goes back to the hero with 10,000.
Even Star Wars.
Everything
Yeah.
is remixed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we're looking at actual brands that are being remade, and I think you're right.
It was
Sam,
just a
in that
jazz singer. That's all it was.
Studios can see, okay, this is a product. I can make money off of this product, and I don't think there's any lessons to be learned here as far as, oh, well, Arthur didn't make a lot of money. That's never going to stop them from being like, well, let's redo
right.
Beetlejuice.
Right.
Well, I mean, and what is with Beetlejuice? I thought it was a remake, but now they say it's a sequel, but without any of the lead character and without the main characters. What's the point?
What is the... that movie shouldn't be touched.
No.
Well, I actually disagree because I think a lot of times it's like, it's never going to... It's not going to change your original film. Beetlejuice is not going to get changed by them remaking it.
But who's going to play Beetlejuice? Seth Rogen? I mean...
But by the way, so what? It sucks.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get to
I think
revisit
you-
a film that you loved. It's a lot of fun, and even if it's insulting, it's just going to make you love the original that
I'll
much
take a
more.
remake of Beetlejuice over, and I hate to say it because I try to be the George Lucas apologist on the show as much as I can, but I'll take that over taking the original films and putting stuff in there that doesn't belong, like Han getting shot at by Greedo first, or the end scene of Return of the Jedi. I like the
Right.
original Ewok song.
Yeah,
I don't like the new one.
don't retouch classics. And if you're gonna here's the thing with, again, using the Karate Kid for an example. I wanted to hate that movie. I wanted to give it a thumbs up. The middle
Are we
finger.
talking about the Jaden Smith one?
Yes, I wanted to throw things at the television, and and it should have been called the Kung Fu Kid, not the Karate Kid. There were so many things that I wanted to hate about it.
It was awful.
I didn't hate it.
It was
He liked it.
awful.
Didn't
we
hate
didn't
it.
actually. We didn't review it because we were on the screening list, but he didn't. He was like, so he just wouldn't see it.
That's Will Smith.
Yeah,
And he does not care.
He
does
is
not care for
He's got bigger
Catherine.
problems right now. Bigger
Yeah.
problems.
Taking a dump.
Anyway, I mean, so it was, but again, should not have been remade. Footloose should not have been remade. There are not many movies that should be remade, and I think that that's the problem. I agree with you, Sam, that why they're doing it. I still just and
I don't know why fans get so overly protective over these films. It's not going to change anything of a film you like. If anything, it's going to give you an excuse to go out there and re-celebrate a film you loved.
But I think what it is, I think the feeling is, it's not that it changes the first film. It's that
It's disrespecting it somehow?
No, it's that the nature of it is the studio is taking my existing love of this original film and using that to get me into the theater to watch their $80 million piece of shit.
You feel taken advantage of.
Yes.
And it also, in a broader sense, in the general populace, we got to play through it. In the general populace, like kids have never seen RoboCop. Okay, so I know what RoboCop is, and that's my brand. And now you have these other kids that won't know the original one, and that upsets me.
But what about films that are actually brought to life because of a remake, like Father of the Bride or Cape Fear?
Look, I'm not against remake. If it's good, I'll see it. Like I'm usually worth the risk of taking it. And again, it's my $15 that I can choose to spend or not spend, and I probably would want to see it.
But I would rather see a sequel again, like Beetlejuice. Again, I'd rather see the sequel than a remake.
Most sequels,
Right.
I don't mind if they get run into the ground because I don't get that attached
That's what I'm
to
saying.
many
But
franchises.
you know what? If the
Like
original-
Predator, I'll see the latest Predators movie that came out. I liked it, and I'd pay to see 10 more movies like that because I thought it was a fun use of an alien that we've come to know and love that kicks ass.
Come to know and love.
I would.
Granted that it's Tarantino and it's going to be impossible to do, but let's say in 5 years they're going to remake Inglorious Bastards, and then with not Tarantino, with someone else, you're going to do the political thing when they're asked, like, oh, I think it's, okay. But deep down, you're going to be like, why are they remaking this?
They have the kid from Real Steel playing your role, by the way.
I would.
And killing it.
I mean, in that particular example, yes. Politically, I'd go, I'm sure it's going to be great.
Right.
It's going to be different from our movie. But inside, I'm going to know there's no way that it's going to be better than our movie.
And you probably just spoke the
Well-
same way Kevin Bacon did.
Also, it's a Quentin Tarantino
I bet
movie.
you-
Tarantino movies cannot be remade.
You can't,
Well,
yeah.
Right, and I know that.
I
But
bet-
in that example.
Right.
I think it's what James Cameron, how James Cameron felt about Terminator Salvation, because he was on set. They're making Avatar, and they find out that they wanted to ask him something about it, or say they wanted to cast Sam Worthington.
Right.
And James Cameron was like, "Look, I know what I did with this franchise. I'm not signing off on it. You guys want to try it? Good luck.
Yeah.
Have fun. I don't give a shit."
But again, with sequels, I don't mind. It's like you go bananas on the sequels and try to see if you can hit something down the line. Like Fast 5 and Fast 6 and Fast 7, they're going to make 175
Right,
of
who
those
cares?
movies. Who cares? It's fine. But if they remade the first one again, it's like, why? Just make Fast 5 75, or Fast whatever it is. But
who would they get to play Vin Diesel?
you.
Those were so recently
Okay.
made. I mean, it makes a lot more sense, like you're saying, if it was like the original one from the 30s or
Right.
the 50s or something.
Well, that's why I'm glad. And let me ask you too. You can speak on this as well. Like I'm glad that they're talking about Ghostbusters 3.
Well, it's certainly not a remake.
That's what I'm saying. But there was talk at first about. I heard some, maybe it's rumors or bullshit. But there was some people said it could be Ghostbusters, or Ghostbusters Kids, or something. So it's
I would certainly say this: 90% of the rumors I've heard have not been true. And I think, because this is the only thing I've been very close to that I can see, most rumors that we hear on any project, I mean, we're getting the real story from you on Inglorious Bastards, but I'm sure if you had heard that story about the table read and people getting fired, you'd be like,
No, I got a buddy who was on set that day who saw that scene.
Right.
I mean, it's rare that you actually get the real inside scoop like that, but it's mainly gossip from what I've heard.
Where is Ghostbusters 3? Does anybody know? Like, do we know anything?
Well, last I
Is it
heard,
being
you can tell me
made?
if this is BS or not. The last is that there was a script out there that Bill Murray apparently is not attaching himself to, and they said they'll go without him.
All I know, and all I think I'm allowed to really say, is that there is a script that's continually in development by some really talented, funny dudes. And
We can say the dudes. It's Gene and Lee, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And my father is involved in the rewriting process, as he's.
Would he direct?
I don't
Can't
know.
say. Okay.
I don't know. I do know that. I mean, my dad's always heavily involved in the writing of every one of his movies. So, I mean, we were at the Toronto Film Festival. He had some meetings there where he was working with the two guys, and
Cool.
yeah.
See, I still get excited with Ghostbusters, but
Right.
if you tell me it's Ghostbusters without Bill Murray, I'll walk in there prepared for a very different movie.
Yes, but even that though, as long as it's but Dan Aykroyd shows up and Ramis is there, you're like, okay, Bill's not here. This sucks, but at least they didn't remake it with Danny McBride and something. And nothing against Danny McBride, but I'm just saying that that's the go-to of what they do first, and I'm glad they wouldn't do that. You know what I mean?
Here's all I'll say. Unless Ernie Hudson is there, I want no part of it.
You and
you're
me
right.
both,
If you
sir.
can't get Ernie
You and
Hudson,
me
I am
both.
out.
You can't get Ernie Hudson was at Anaheim Comic Con. You can get him. Trust
I believe they say no Hudson, no game.
You're not getting Rick Moranis, I'll tell you that much.
I can tell the podcast followers this: if you do want Bill Murray, push him to read the script. I think, and I've said this on my show.
All right, guys, you hear that? We're all going to meet at Bill Murray's house tomorrow night.
I'm absolutely serious.
Oh,
I think,
what you're
as
saying is that
fans-
you think that he would, if he read the script, he would like it enough to want to do it?
I think he's at a point in his career where he's become very. I mean, as most actors his age are, they're scared of selling out. And I think if he knew how much the fans wanted it, I think he needs to hear, as opposed to from the director, from the studios, I think he needs to hear from the people who love him and love the movie.
I think the fans. I think the fans aren't sure they want it yet, though. I think it's a chicken or egg thing because we're not sure we want it unless it's good. And Bill
It
Murray
sounds so
ain't gonna do it
tasty,
unless
but I don't know if I need to order that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But again, I mean, I just love Bill Murray, so Bill Murray could be in anything, and I'll see it.
But I am excited about
Like Garfield.
the re-release of Ghostbusters. That I'd like to see it kind of put because they're doing they just did it with Lion King, and Lion King, of course, had a lot of success, and now they're going to be doing it with Ghostbusters. I'd like to see Ghostbusters in like the newer quality, and I don't know if I need to see it in 3D. If they're doing 3D, who cares?
I don't think it needs to be in 3D.
I don't. But
Have either of you guys been to the Biltmore Hotel downtown?
no,
Yeah.
Okay. I cannot walk in there. I've been there for a couple of events. I've even shot there. You can't walk into that lobby without reenacting the scene. You can't.
Yeah.
You have to run over to the elevators,
Slimer.
say somebody saw a cockroach up on 4. You have to.
Must have been some cockroach. Yeah. Me and Sam just we run the scene together. We go down there. It's fun.
who plays Slimer?
Where do you stand? Who do you think? The former fat kid, me.
Okay.
Where do you stand, Sam, on the 3D thing? Because they re-released the Lion King 3D.
I hate 3D.
They're going to do Star Wars in 3D.
Hate it.
Christian made an interesting point because I was like you. I was like, I don't want to see Star Wars in 3D. I just don't care. And Christian's like, Mark, in the rare event that you find a woman that would bear your children, you would want to take them to see Star Wars and experience it on the big screen, like you got to
Re-release, yeah,
Which
but
is a good
I don't necessarily need it in 3D.
You don't need it in 3D though. Yeah.
I mean,
They're not going to re-release Star Wars again.
Oh, 1
in
through
3D,
6
and
in
it's
3D
starting
every
with
year.
Phantom
Starts
Menace,
next year, and you're going to get you're going to get the NASCAR drunk fan screaming instead of in that episode 4 scene.
I've really had it with George Lucas.
Yeah, that's a whole other
He's a
podcast, my
special
friend.
guy.
The
Special
Lion
guy.
King, the Lion King was weird because I love the Lion King. It's a movie worthy of being re-released every so often, so generations can experience it on the big screen. But the 3D to me only accentuated the fact that it's no longer 95 and this animation feels dated.
I think the 3D takes you out of the movie. It takes you out of the movie-going experience.
Did you feel that way with Avatar as well?
It's the only one I haven't.
Yes, Avatar
Really?
was the
Alright,
first
alright.
movie I saw in 3D, and because of the hype, the 3D hype surrounding the movie, it was the
Yeah.
first movie I saw where I had to wear the stupid glasses. And because of that, I'm watching a scene, and then, ooh, that monitor is jumping out at me, and ooh, the typing is jumping out at me. I was like, wait, I'm not paying attention to what I should be paying attention to anymore. Now I'm just focusing on, ooh, this is 3D, and that's 3D, cool.
See, that was the only-
Sometimes, I don't know, I think it brings me to the next level. Like, Fright Night, I know a lot of people feel controversially about. I really enjoyed it. And
I
I
liked
actually
it. I liked it.
I found the 3D to be awesome in that movie.
The 3D was fun.
It made me more
Here's the
invested
problem
in
with
it.
Avatar, though, is that Avatar was such a long movie, and it should have been a long movie. It was 2.5 hours, and the last half hour, you have the clunky, dental headgear on your face
Yeah.
watching these, and your face gets tired. And for the last half hour, you just feel like you're watching your friend play a video game, and you want to go home because
Yep.
those
I didn't
the
feel
glasses they just weigh on you after a while.
Yeah.
I agree.
Can I take it back to remakes real quick?
Spin it back.
Please.
I have
Carl
to spin
off.
it back. I want to.
Waka waka.
Has there been anything that you guys have seen remade that you enjoyed so far? It didn't even have to be a commercial success. Anything? I mean, because I know we had Straw Dogs that came out
Now,
there.
are we specifying remake versus reboot?
I mean, you could throw a reboot in there.
Okay, then the Star Trek, the J.J. Abrams Star Trek.
Yeah,
Great
okay,
call.
that's a great call. That
I didn't like
think-
Star Trek at all before that movie. I was totally
with
Star
you.
Wars
I
and
think-
anti-Star Trek. That movie.
Yeah.
Now I'm excited for more Star Trek.
Me
movies.
too. And a reboot
But we're
like
talking
that.
about remakes that we preferred more than the original.
Yeah, let's.
I'd say
no.
Father of the Bride. Absolutely.
There's a great
Spencer
example, yeah.
Tracy
That's a great one, too.
doesn't
There you
have
go.
that same sort of lovable quality that Steve Martin had for me.
But the problem is there's so many of them now. These remakes is that
Cape Fear.
You wish that you could just say, and even those the ones that you just gave examples of, Catherine, like those came out in the filmmaking was different. Like
It was. Oh, you know what's another good one?
Yes, but
Guess Who?
storytelling is storytelling.
No, I agree, but I
Guess
just
Who?
now
It's a joke,
the way that
guys.
they tell,
okay.
the way that
With
they
Bernie
tell
Mac?
now. Yes.
Oh, yeah,
right.
Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Guess who's coming to dinner? Remember
Right.
when they flipped it when it's a black family and a white guy?
Oh, man. Oh, man.
It worked.
Still laughing about that development.
Sam
Right.
Levine loves The Shaggy Dog, starring Tim Allen.
yeah.
Can't get enough of it.
You're not still laughing that Bernie Mac cost you guys the playoffs, though, I'll tell you that. But that being
What?
said, now but I'm talking more recent stuff too. Because
Okay,
it
how
seems-
about Let the Right One In versus Let Me In?
Okay, now that's a great point though, because I think that the remakes of
That was a...
of independent, it's okay, like foreign films and stuff too. Like I think that though, because again, the Dragon Tattoo movie.
Right.
Yeah.
That movie, the trailer for the new one looks fantastic,
Yeah.
and I hear, and I haven't seen it, that the original movie
The original
was amazing.
original was great.
And it seems like that's a little different to me. That's when I kind of go, okay, I'm okay with that when you're remaking foreign films that I've never seen, because I'm a stupid American and I want to see everything in English.
Right.
So,
Well, let the right one in. I think maybe it was the fact that it was Swedish and it felt so authentic. You really do believe that world. And by the way, it was within 5 years that they remade it. It's not like this was a 1950s film that they, brought to life all of a sudden in America. But there was nothing wrong with the first one. And I actually really liked the remake.
right.
Yeah. Well, I think that there is a bit of a time sensitivity thing too, because the '80s just weren't long enough ago to
Yeah, I
where
think that's it.
we haven't nobody buried Footloose. But with a thing like somebody brought up Cape Fear, that's a great example of a great film that you remade, and maybe it was time to remake that. King Kong, while it wasn't good,
Right.
I appreciate the effort of trying to make an updated version of King Kong.
But I think it's Sam's point from before, where it's like it's this generation that doesn't know of these
Yeah.
movies.
Or
and
like The Thing is the same thing.
The Thing's a prequel, isn't it?
I think it's a prequel.
Well, it's a prequel of...
I'm seeing it on Tuesday. I'll have a fresh scoop.
You saw it already, right?
I've seen it, and I liked it.
Okay.
But it doesn't actually feel... It doesn't feel in any way updated. It feels older than the first. Sorry.
I think that noise you hear in the background is the thing trying to get in.
It is. It's true.
Right.
Well, the thing again, and that's another one. I mean, and I'm sure there's just going to be so much. But when does it stop? Like, is Rocky going to get remade? You know what I mean? It's like,
Well, yeah,
like you
but the
said,
weird thing
for-
about Rocky being remade is that Stallone is going to reprise his role
Yeah,
as
right.
a 25-year-old fighter.
But eventually our kids won't know about Rocky, so it will be time to
Christian and my kids will always know about Rocky.
well, the thing is, Stallone said that he'd be up for a prequel for Rambo, which not him in it, obviously, but like I don't know. And here's the technology is getting so crazy that in 20 years, if you can make a young Harrison Ford, would you make like another Star Wars movie, or a reboot? You know what I mean?
That
Like,
was the saving grace of Terminator Salvation to me, was when you saw young Arnold step out of that thing, and
Yeah.
it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it looked exactly like him. It was I went
imagine what's gonna-
crazy
imagine-
in the theater. I was so excited to see that.
And imagine what's going to be like in like 20, 30 years from now. You literally are going to be able to have Humphrey Bogart. in
Dude,
the
you
movie.
know how bitter and jaded I'll be? I'm a 90-year-old man
can
now.
already-
One schmo.
He'll be fat
Can
once
already
again.
do that. They
Yeah.
can already take a deceased actor and put him in a movie.
right, but again, look. I mean, you're going to be able to do full movies. Of it.
Nobody's booked the part yet. We're waiting for Fred Astaire. Fred Astaire didn't book Footloose.
Right.
No, Fred Astaire did that Swiffer commercial.
That's right.
That's right. And it
He
was
looks
great.
amazing.
Yeah. So, is there anything that anyone thinks that's coming out that they actually are excited about, or
Or maybe something that you would want to see
yeah,
remade.
Exactly. Like for me, it's Flash Gordon. I think that you can. I think you could really do a good space opera, kind of a little more serious Flash Gordon, like from like the 30s.
See, you saw that when you were a kid, man. I saw Flash Gordon to do a Schmoes classic review of it like last year,
Yeah.
and I had two thoughts during the movie. The first one was, man,
You Were Hungry was probably the first one.
Queen kicks ass, is what I
Queen is
thought.
amazing.
And the other one I thought was, thank God Star Wars didn't turn into this, because you're watching this movie that came out in 1980, and Star Wars could have been it could have easily been that cheesy
Yeah.
Yeah.
and been that bad, and that's a credit to George Lucas.
but again, going to that point though, there
just
are
bury it. As far as I'm concerned, just I don't need to see
I
Flash
want
Gordon
Flash
ever
Gordon.
again. Just
I'm
bury it.
surprised that they haven't tried to remake Young Guns. I mean,
know.
that movie
Please
had so
don't.
much
That
heat.
movie's great.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a great
phenomenal. No
example.
one should touch it.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you. No one should touch it. It is a great movie, and I bet you the only reason they haven't is when's the last
Just Charlie Sheen with
Wild
Kissel.
West movie
That
With-
did well.
with a bunch of young people?
with 6 hot young stars. They also, I bet you, they remake The Outsiders if it's not already in production.
Yeah, or like
is
Stand By Me.
is with the guys from High
God,
School
no.
Musical. You know, I mean that kind of thing.
Although
There
you
was
know
a
what?
rumor. Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say Django Unchained is a western.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Does
So-
Billy the Kid
but
say, "You
Are
who I'll
there
make you
aliens
famous"?
in it?
there are no
aliens in it?
aliens.
But that's got to get. I mean, Tarantino's different, obviously, but I mean, again, westerns haven't done well in a long time. I mean,
What about
Cowboys
True
and
Grit?
Aliens.
True
but-
Grit?
True Grit was an exception to the rule.
Right, but not a
think
box
about-
office success.
And a
critically
and a
acclaimed
remake.
film.
Yeah,
and
for
a
sure.
remake.
Think about Pulp Fiction when that came out. How many movies in the 10 years after Pulp Fiction came out were trying to emulate Pulp Fiction?
Totally, and
Yeah.
it's just
Well,
it shows you
and
how
to be
different
fair,
Tarantino is.
Tarantino was emulating a whole bunch of other movies.
Yes, he was, but no one had ever done it so eloquently.
Right.
No one's ever said eloquently that eloquently.
No one's ever said eloquently on this show.
So classy in
That's
here.
right. It's gotten classy. See, my pass.
It's getting better. It's
That's
getting
right.
better.
Thank you.
Don't
Thank
try
you.
to say big words, honey.
I heard a
sorry.
rumor that they were trying to remake Troop Beverly Hills, which would make me want to vomit on this
my
microphone.
God.
Wow,
What a terrible
what if they cast
idea.
Kirstie Alley instead of Shelley Long, just like Cheers? You know.
Well, and I guess that's another thing about like getting into all these the 80s shows, like the A-Team that are coming. I mean, that's essentially a remake or a reboot.
You know what's weird? Some of those movies. I think The Addams Family is a really good movie. I think that's a really good movie.
I loved it
and
when
the
I was a
first
kid.
Brady
First
Bunch
one.
was kind of funny too because it was campy and they
Yeah.
made fun of it. But
I mean, look, Transformers was the same thing, though, too.
Yeah, so-
Transformers is based off the cartoon of the '80s, and then you had
I hope it stops. I just want it to
it won't,
stop.
but again, it won't because you haven't seen Mask. Mask
Right.
hasn't been made as a.
People ask me, how come they're remaking this? How come they're doing that? And I always have to tell people the same answer, which is they'll stop as soon as people stop buying tickets for them.
Yeah.
Right.
And
enough of them do well, even though you do have the occasional one that bombs. But enough of them do well, and you can sell. I
Right.
mean, it's like what Sam said. Everybody has a producer hat, and it's easier to sell a built-in franchise.
all right. So one last thing before we get the hell out of here. Is there? So
We should remake this podcast next
know, it's
week
true.
and see how we
without,
do.
without the drills.
I want to play Sam.
Oh, fine. Recast already.
You can be me. You can be me.
Sam, obviously, he didn't have a good enough backstory.
didn't- yeah.
So
No.
You're out.
I did not.
Back to Berlin with you.
Sorry, guys.
So is there does anyone want to talk about one more movie they'd like to see remade that they care about? I mean, for me, there was a movie that I would like to see, and I don't know if anyone even remembers this thing. It's called The Slugger's Wife. It was exactly with.
Did you set up this whole
Silence.
podcast just so
to
you could
pitch
talk
that
about
movie?
the Slugger's
Yeah,
Wife?
and look it up. It's
Here's what I want to talk about. Oh, I don't want to cut you off.
No,
on
no,
the
no.
Slugger's
It's
Wife.
okay.
Please cut him
Just
off.
look-
But because we're talking about remakes, and I wanted to bring this up before, I love the idea that over the last decade or so, they've done this thing where they'll reboot a movie. It doesn't do so well. They'll wait 3 years and try it again, acting as if the first attempt didn't even happen.
Ang
The
Lee,
Hulk,
the Hulk,
Spider-Man.
yeah.
Ang Lee's Hulk, Superman. Now they're doing. It's like Bryan Singer. Nope, he didn't do one. We're making a new
It's
one.
like they talk to my ex-boyfriends. You just keep trying.
Spider-Man.
Just keep trying. One
Spider-Man
works.
3, but that's an example where I'd like to see the reboot because Spider-Man 3 was such a train
that
wreck.
was
It's an
that
abortion.
was a train
Superheroes,
wreck.
it's almost nice because it's tough to pull
Punisher?
off a good one.
Punisher, they're never going to get right. Just stop.
no, give it a rest.
And Batman too. It was kind of like, oh, well, somebody takes a franchise and they ruin it. Well, then we lost that franchise for 20 years. And I
Right.
kind of like that studios now they're like, hey, look, if you make a great movie, we'll make sequels to it. But if you make a shit bomb, we will scrap it and try
Yeah,
again.
try
That's
again.
right.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Yeah, viewing audience, short memories.
There is
Yeah.
something lovable about the fact that they just keep trying.
that's
They
right.
keep casting them, and now Mark Ruffalo's the Hulk. Who's it going to be next time? We don't know.
Oh, the Hulk.
All right, guys, that's our remakes, reboots, and
Inglourious Basterds
and inside
podcast.
Yeah,
story of
seriously.
Inglourious Bastards. I'd like to thank Catherine Reitman, of course, for joining us.
Oh, thanks, guys.
You can catch Catherine again at youtube.com/Catherine Reitman.
Sure. Breaking
okay.
it down with Catherine
That's
Reitman.
breaking it down with Catherine Reitman.
Sam, you got any? First of all, thank you for being a great guest because we kind of talk about remakes.
Oh.
We go into these podcasts like we need a backup topic in case our guest is a real stinker,
Oh, boy.
which was not the case today. You
No,
were.
you're sweet.
It was great hearing.
As a
all that-
movie
that
lover and a
stuff.
movie fan,
Yeah.
that's what this
Yeah.
podcast is all
Do you have
about.
anything you want to plug? Get
I
out
do.
to the fans?
When, as Doug Benson would say, when does this plop?
Next week. It'll be next week from today, probably the Saturday or Sunday.
All right. Well, then, if you had a DVR and you recorded Modern Family, you could have seen me on this past week's episode.
Awesome.
Well, Hulu.
Yeah, I believe those episodes are available online.
Okay.
So you can catch me there, and then also every week Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern on KevinPollock'sChatShow.com,
Great.
where we have your father, who's going to be a guest on our show, and I think that's going to be on October 30th. Is when
Oh,
that
that's
will stream.
great.
very
right
cool.
here,
And-
say happy birthday to him. That's his birthday right around
I
there.
will.
What about your Twitter?
At Samm Levine, SammLevine.
There you go. And as always, myself and Mark Ellis, the Schmoes. You can check us out at youtube.com/Schmoes. No. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and make sure you rate this podcast. Thank you, everybody, and we shall be back some other time.